Security has been tightened across New York City as leaders from around the world gathered for the 72nd session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Maithripala Sirisena will be addressing the United Nations General Assembly tomorrow. Newsfirst Shamir Razuldin reports from New York, USA.
President Maithripala Sirisena arrived in New York today, flanked by First Lady Jayanthi Sirisena. President Maithripala Sirisena was greeted by Foreign Secretary Prasad Karyavasam and members of the Sri Lanka's permanent mission to the United Nations in New York. The United Nations, an intergovernmental organization tasked to promote international cooperation and to create and maintain international order, was established on 24th October 1945 after World War II in order to prevent another such conflict. The General Assembly, which is part of the 5 main functions of the United Nations, meets under its President or Secretary General in annual sessions in order to address the issues faced by the world and respective countries. The first session was convened on the 10th of January 1946 in the Methodist Central Hall in London and included representatives of 51 nations, which now accounts to 193 nations. The General Assembly is taking place against a backdrop of droughts, floods and hurricanes, including 2 that have ravaged parts of Texas, Florida and the Caribbean in the past few weeks, making climate change one of the most important topics. North Korean missile crisis, dire humanitarian situation in Myanmar and Iran nuclear crisis will top the agenda at tomorrow's General Assembly, which will convene under its new Secretary General, Antonio Guterres.
President Maithripala Sirisena, who arrived in New York yesterday, attended the UN Political Reform High-Level Event at the Economic and Social Council this morning. President Maithripala Sirisena will be attending the 72nd session of the United Nations General Assembly tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. New York time. Now, this is going to be a very decisive meeting for many heads of states, including President Donald J. Trump, who took over office in the year 2017. Now, all eyes will also be on Sri Lanka, as Sri Lanka is once again in the spotlight for human rights violations in Geneva as well as back in Sri Lanka. This is going to be a very decisive meeting for President Maithripala Sirisena, and all eyes will be on President Maithripala Sirisena's address, which will happen later on Tuesday. I am Shamir Razuldin reporting for News First from the UN headquarters in New York, USA.